Welcome to Health Professionals Outside the Box podcast. In this series, I'll be talking to health professionals who've leveraged their professional skills to pursue alternative income sources, alternative careers, and entrepreneurship. We will gain insight into their motivations, experiences, and challenges, and learn how we too can carve our own path to finding purpose, fulfillment, and financial freedom. I'm your host, Fee. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to this episode. Joining me today is Kemi Akinwunmi. She's a midwife and specialist in community health, public health, and also a health visitor. She's a director of a company called Professional Aunty, a pregnancy and parenting support service, providing products for babies and their parents. Welcome, Kemi.
Hi.
I'm fine, thank you. It's snowing here, but I'm nice and cozy indoors. So tell us about yourself and your background.
Well, as you said, my name is Kemi Akinwunmi. I am the founder of Professional Aunty. I am an experienced midwife, been a midwife now for coming up to more than 8 years. A health visitor by background as well for about 5 years now. I am a mother of one. And I decided to found the actual Professional Aunty during the time when I had my son, when I was about a year old. And that passion to actually start my own business came around the time from my own experience within the professional field. And then becoming a mother, I was able to be on the receiving end of what services look like, and what the gaps I saw as the actual mother in the business. And I thought, helping a lot of people around me that were pregnant, and as well, I thought this is something I really want to get into, and I really want to support people better. NHS, we do our best, but there's more that I thought needs to be done in terms of services and support on the one-to-one and flexibility part of things.
So what services do you provide?
So currently I have services of bespoke postpartum visits. I also am now a first aid trainer. So I train parents in first aid, a very important life skill that I think all parents should have. Also do antenatal birth preparation classes on a one-to-one, and I also launched an online parenting education course, which is coming very soon.
Okay, so do you provide the services by yourself, or do you work with other people?
Currently, I am the only person in the business at the moment. We hope to expand later to have a team as bigger, but it is only me at the moment that having that service. Obviously, I have other people that I link in with and collaborate with if I feel like the certain service client with me, but I offer the service to all my clients currently at the moment.
Okay, how did you come up with the name? I was intrigued by the name, Professional Aunty.
Everyone asks. So when I was really thinking about starting a business, at first I never really thought about it was definitely going to be in my own field that I'm in right now. But I prayed about it, and I just got given this vision for this business. And one of the things that kept coming to me was like, you have that auntie that always comes around, gives you all those unsolicited advice. You have a baby, like, do this, do that. No, that's wrong. Hold a baby like this, and But I obviously see myself as someone that, yes, I give advice and support to people, but in a professional way where I respect their boundaries and I'm very aware of, the timing when you say things to people. So that professional boundaries, that professional support in terms of knowledge that I have and experience, but that warmth in terms of like a family member, that warmth in terms of like a friend, that caring nature is where I put the auntie in there. So I felt like the two Professional Aunty came really well together in terms of what I'm trying to signify in terms of my services.
I think we can all relate to having an aunt that the whole family, sort of the matriarch of the family that everyone runs to.
Yeah, so I want to be the auntie that you think about, like, oh, you ask for help, but in a professional way. Not the one you'd be like, don't come over.
So you mentioned earlier that the gaps that you had seen in the services at work. What examples? Can you give examples of some of the gaps that you've noticed?
For me, and a lot of women that I've supported and fathers as well that supported, I think it was definitely more about the one-to-one and continuity of care. Seeing the familiar face regularly all the time, I feel like having that continuity and familiar face with somebody really does change how you receive that care and your openness to speak about things you're going through. Even as a professional, being able to identify issues in that person because you get to know them more better as well. So that familiarity does really change dynamics of support when you receive it. Flexibility. We all are living in such not even just now, before now, but I mean like flexibility in our working lives. Even if we want evening, people work such different patterns. Sometimes they're so restrained into they're offering this on this day, they're offering that on that time, not doing weekends. And in the way we all work, I want that flexibility that I can do evenings, I can do weekends. Times, having that suitable service in terms of how I give it itself. Definitely that. And I felt like how long and how often people get the support for. When we have time frames of how long we see somebody for, but if you need extra support, I can give it to you as much as you need it. And that's what I felt like. Sometimes you see the time constraints in having an appointment with your midwife can be like 15 minutes, and sometimes you need longer, but there's someone waiting outside the door, so you feel like, okay, I'll wait till next week. Next week you've forgotten about the issue, you've asked the auntie, you've asked a friend, and great, they can have advice, but sometimes that advice wasn't exactly the professional or the right advice, and it might be just their experiences alone. And I think for me it's definitely the flexibility, the continuity of care, and just also the availability.
It sounds very much personalized to and tailored to the individual. Definitely. And how long did you take it from coming up with the concept, having the idea of the business, and then executing it?
I think it took about 4 to 6 months. I took the whim to do it. Actually, it was just our birthday on Friday. Come up to 2 years now that I actually registered my business. So I registered the business. And when I registered it, I was like, okay, then what am I going to do now? Like, I've finally taken that in. But I think the first time I had to do a lot of research before I actually did, like, asking parents that I had around me about certain things they needed, did a lot of like that kind of study itself. And that took itself. But I did start selling my boxes, because I have boxes, that products that I did first. So my products were one of my first starting points to get myself out there, getting people knowing about what I do in my boxes. And that came out within 1-2 months that I started my business. I started to get good rapport on that.
So sounds like you were doing some market research prior. Yeah. Oh, how did you determine your startup costs and other expenses?
The hardest thing for me. Yeah, that was really hard for me, because obviously coming from a place where I naturally, one reason why I went into this business, because it's something that I did anyway. I had a lot of family, a lot of friends that I naturally was giving advice and support to anyway, and supporting them along their journey. People would come ask me. I was always a point of contact for a lot of people. I have a friend that's a midwife, and they will ask questions, and I will guide them on certain things. So then for me to have that point where, like, okay, now it's my business now, I'm going to start charging people for something that I think is my passion anyway. And I didn't really, it never felt like a burden to me to help people. It's always something that I felt like, oh, I enjoy doing it. But when you now have to transfer into, okay, this is what you're doing, this is your business now, charging, finding that right cost was like, oh, I'm not sure. And, even family and friends. So I think I had to think about my value of my time, how important time is. Obviously, I still work within an NHS as well. So it came across of putting borderline, also having other people that I know that were doing the service that I'm offering already in a different way, people that are private midwives, asking them questions. I had a lot of research of other people that I know online. Instagram, quite helpful. We just a lot of people that are doing private midwifery, ask them how they got into it, what the certain cost is. Some people were quite open, some weren't. And I based it off that and found something that I was comfortable in charging people, and had that kind of startup cost with that itself, and thought about my time and how much I felt would be good and I felt was reasonable for parents, and what would I pay. All my services about what would I want, what would I think is reasonable, and if I felt like I couldn't pay, or I felt it was too much, I wouldn't charge someone for that. So it's based on what would I think is valuable for the money as well.
I think most health professionals would be guilty of that, wouldn't they? Charging someone, because we go into the profession wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And how do you advertise your services?
So currently, Advertise, I have a website, professionalaunty.co.uk, and I'm also on Instagram as well. I keep trying to draw into the Twitter life, but it's not really the best for me just yet, but I'm still doing it. And obviously word of mouth is always my biggest selling point. A lot of people that have used my services, they always tell people about me, and have people that, mothers that I've helped, fathers that I've helped. But Instagram is my main source of, at the moment, and my website of marketing currently.
Okay. Have you had to pivot with some of your services due to the pandemic?
Yes. So my first aid training that I was offering was very popular. As you know, it's very important for parents, and that was, but obviously having certain constraints in terms of people going to people's homes, because it's something that I offered, like, the flexibility of being in their home environment. That's one of my key things, like, not having to come out for it. But obviously, with all the safety measures being in tier 5, we're not supposed to go to people's houses, and it's not exactly a necessity at this point in time. So a lot of people have also been a bit reluctant. Obviously, everyone's trying to keep safe, so we're trying to make sure we're only doing things that are necessary at this point in time. So that's had to calm down. And a lot of my services have gone online. So I've had a lot of Zoom talks, Zoom birth preparation, and all those things that I've had to give a lot of things over the virtual world.
And
I think
how has that been? How has that been, transferring services to the online platform?
I think in what we've all had to learn is being adaptable. And I feel like I've had to meet my clients in an adaptable way, even in all the way we've all had to be adaptable in how we deliver things. So maybe follow-up telephone calls, use a lot of pictures, sending over pictures about their worries as well, explaining things a bit better. It just made me actually be more, learn more better skills on how I communicate and how I make people feel needed, and signposting them to online services that's ready available, links to things that I think can be very helpful to them, and making sure they know that I'm still here, they can speak to me. So.
Any struggles though? Have you had any sort of difficulties?
Yeah, because there's nothing beats face to face, and in the profession that we're doing right now, and parenting and children and motherhood, you need someone. You want someone to see you. You need someone just to have that warmth. That, okay, yeah, this is okay. And I think that bit is a bit hard, missing that bit when it's necessary. So yeah, I think most of my postpartum bespokes have taken a little bit of a back step from what we had to. But I think in terms of like antenatal education, because of the hospitals that are not currently offering at the moment, I've taken a high intake of people that have wanted to have the most birth preparation classes with myself, because they're not being offered in hospital. So where one place is, I'm still doing my online ones, I'm still giving a lot of, and I've now launched my online education class as well, which is all encompassing of antenatal, birth and postpartum. And I do like the one-to-ones as well. So that's also something that's been able to allow me to see there's a gap, fill it, And I know a lot of parents that have really struggled in the pandemic, having not someone to speak to, seeing their midwives less, doctors less appointments, and they just need advice, they just need support. So I picked up on that gap that I've seen people having, and I've been able to, offer that support and service in that time. So where one place is less, in other worlds, I feel like there's always a room to adjust your services to become better.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier on when I asked you about, how you've come up with your startup costs, and you said you spoke to other business owners that were doing something similar. What do you think sets you apart, or what do you think sets your business apart from some of your competitors?
For me, I definitely feel like how it's my passion and my drive, and where I come from is not just about the textbook answers, the textbook knowledge. It's my experience as well, my motherhood journey as well. I'm reaching all types of parenting. I'm not only about I give practical tips, about also the all-encompassing of parenting, not only the birth, antenatal, what happens after that 4th trimester. I think there's very limited advice about your home with the baby, how it impacts on relationships, how it impacts on that single parent, how it impacts on that that overwhelmed one that has 2, 3 or 4 kids and now adjusting this new baby to it. So I try and encompass all of that due to my experiences that I've had with parents that have spoken about their worlds, my own experience as well. And I put that into practical tips to get through those times, and making sure that if you build your 4th trimester, you're aware of what could be going, get the good support in there, you already know how to put a better foundation, you'll be off to a better start for your parenting and well equipped for the journey ahead. And I think that bit, my transparency in my services, my knowledge, my experience with midwifery, also health visiting up to the age of 5, children development up to the age of 5, I have a good speed of knowledge and experience as well. That really does set me apart from my competitors.
Okay, so it sounds like you're not ending at the point where they've given birth.
No.
You're taking it forward, and then you're looking at other social factors that can contribute to the well-being of the mom, baby, and, partner or husband, and how they move forward in life.
Parenting isn't just stopping at the birth. That's when it begins, really. And I think a lot of times we get so much support up to the point of, and we all worry. I was guilty. a lot of people around me say, oh, the birth. But after that, the birth is the easy part. I thought, before I actually had a child, I was like, it's the birth is what you worry about. Then it's after, it's the after, this newborn, the demands, how you actually deal with it. No one can prepare you or understand for the emotional journey you'll go on, for that responsibility you're going to be on. And that's the bit I want to prepare parents for. I don't want that shock factor for parents to have, how it impacts on you, your relationships, your friendships, your, the demands, your own mental health. That's the aspect that I really prepare parents for after as well.
Okay. And how do you manage your time then between work? Are you working still as a midwife in the NHS?
I still work as a midwife in the NHS, but I do what I call locum kind of shifts. So I do ad hoc, so I book onto when I want to do them now more, but I still do quite regular because I love it still. I still love the birthing, so I still want to get my hands into giving helping with supporting them labouring. And I'm also a health visitor, so I do that more on a full-time. I'm part-time, but 4 days a week I do that.
So how do you manage your time then between your day-to-day day job and your business?
It's a lot.
Family as well.
Family life. It's a lot. I can't tell you it's not a lot but that's why I'm at a point where I'm having to think about, I think we spoke about having that time. We think at one point, where's your passion going to really lie with? What do you want to do? And at some point, I really do want Professional Aunty to be my only source of business, like my business to be only what I'm doing, and I've made it enough to a place where that's what I want to do. And that's what I'm working towards with being a household name itself. How I manage my time now is prioritizing top priorities for me. I have days where I commit to that I'm going to put effort into my business. So if it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days a week, a couple of hours in my day where I put into my business, making sure that I stay relevant and consistent on my advertising, make people know what I'm doing. I have to stick to that. I have a plan. I'm very structured in time. My notes, if you see my notes on my phone, you'll be like, this girl's crazy. But I get ideas on the go. I get ideas every minute. And I keep my clients that I have at the time very aware of my schedule, very aware of my capacity of what I can and cannot be doing. So my availability is known for that. So that's how I've learned to. And even with family time, I have to really prioritize my time with my son. And I work a lot in the nights. In the night is my hour to really get things done.
Sounds like you've created some habits there just to keep yourself focused.
You have to. If your passion is your passion, you have to make sure you get it going. But it does get hard sometimes. You do get overwhelmed. Yeah, there is times when I do feel like, oh my goodness, I'm being pulled in so many areas. But it's just about reevaluating what's priority at that point in time and knowing when to give less in different areas.
So if you're reflecting on your journey so far from the time of launching up until today, what essential lessons have you learned along the way that have impacted on you personally?
I've learned so much on this journey already. What has impacted me a lot so far is knowing that be consistent, show up, just start. Because for me, I remember when I first started, I was like trying to wait for the perfect post, my box to be completely ready so I can post it amazingly. I will have all my services ready and done. And one of my friends just said to me, don't do that. Just start posting. Just let people know you're here. Just do that. Get your name out. And I was like, no. And sometimes it's good you want to be perfect, but sometimes you just need to start because you will always have room to grow. And I've grown so much. I didn't have a vision for all these things that I'm doing now. And if I waited to have all these ideas in one time, I wouldn't have started at all. I'll still be waiting for the perfect time. Allow yourself to always develop. I change my logo halfway. It's okay if you do that. There's certain things in yourself as you get more experience, you talk to other people, you meet new people, you will develop yourself, and that's allowed. Having people around you that will support you and that that will encourage you, and have the similar goals to yourself is also very important. I feel like for me, it's just being consistent and remembering my why. When I do feel like, oh, it's getting so tired, the days when I've got a lot on, it goes back to remembering my why. Why have I started this? What's my passion? Who have I helped? And even feedback. The feedback from all the people that I have supported always helps me to be like, okay, Kemi, you're on the right track. Keep going. This is what you're supposed to be doing.
Were there moments where you felt like you weren't able to proceed with the business, or you were ready to just shut the business and continue with your, day-to-day job as a midwife?
Yeah, there's been times, especially during the lockdown, it was very hard to like still stay relevant because I had, like you said, when you're still working, you've got a family, you yourself, you're just tired, doing 24 and doing so many things. I did get points where I was like a block, like, oh, I don't know how much I can give to other people when I wasn't myself. I felt quite hard, but then I had to take on my own advice. The advice you give others, you take your own advice, and I'm like, okay, time to counsel yourself, Kemi. Time to be your own professional auntie, and these are the things like, I told my own clients that how it's very important to have your self-care, have your turn-off point, know your limits, and that thing I started to have to practice what I preach. And like I said, I had to go back to the foot and how if you gave up today, you'll be, you have to go from the beginning. And I've done so much work to get to where I am now. Why would I want to start again? Because I know this is my passion. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And for me, because I know it's purpose driven, I know this vision is God ordained to me. I'm a woman of faith, and I didn't just start this without the confirmation. And I had my confirmation about this business. And for me, that's why I can't stop. I have been confirmed that's what God wants me to do. So that's why I keep pushing. I'm like, okay, even you gave me this vision, God. So help me. Even if I'm a little bit more quiet sometimes, but I just know that I go back to my why. Why have you started? What is the purpose of what you're doing? And that keeps me going.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's imperative that we as health professionals are mindful of compassion fatigue that can often come about by supporting others. So I think we need to be intentional about looking after our physical, emotional, and mental well-being.
100%. I think it's something that how the health profession has made us not accustomed to. And that's why you actually have to take ownership for yourself, because at work, sometimes you can do 12-hour shifts, don't get a break. It's crazy. So, you get used to the fact that I'll just keep burning. But burnout is not smart. Burnout doesn't make, you have your own responsibility not to burn out. It's like you prioritize yourself. And like I said, you can't keep helping others and not help yourself. So like I said, I have to go back to the fact that I'm a self-care advocate myself. And I've tried to make sure that I'm very conscious of making sure before I get to the point of burning out, I'm looking at what's causing this, Kemi. Reflect now, come back to it, Try and make sure you are aware of yourself, because I feel like you can't keep telling everyone else what to do and not practice your own preaching yourself.
I agree. Definitely agree with that. Who has been your greatest inspiration?
You know what? I always get asked this question, and I always say to people that how it's so hard to pinpoint someone else, but I always say my inspiration to actually do this has been my own journey, like to really all people that have been around me, the mothers that I've had around me, fathers that I've had around me that I've had to support. And obviously having my son itself inspired me to actually be like, no, I need to help others. So for me, my inspiration has come from my own motherhood experience. The journey itself. Yes, I was a midwife. Yes, a lot of people expected me to be like, everything, you're gonna be exactly the best for your baby. But no one put, my course did not prepare me for the emotional journey I was going to go on. It didn't prepare me for, the responsibility that I was going to feel like, oh my God, this child's life is in my hands. I can't mess it up, I still second guess myself. I still had to go through all the missions that you can. Yes, I think some of the skills I already knew, great, some things like I was more confident holding a baby, those kind of things, you have experience of that. But the mental, the things that you thought practically, I had to go for that day as well. So I think for me, in having that journey, I wouldn't have thought, and I met a lot of other mothers and fathers during that time, and I was able to really share a lot of discussion with people and see a lot of things the way I feel like we could do much better, and more parents could be way more better supported. And that's where I felt, yes, I can do this. I can support people, and I felt like I've always been doing it. So why not make it bigger?
It's good to hear. And what's your vision for the business?
Household name. I tell everybody, until Professional Aunty is a household name, like we hear Harrods, you're like, oh yeah, McDonald's, yeah. Oh, Professional Aunty, I know them, yeah. When you think about support, when you think about your parent, you want a Professional Aunty. That's what I want. I want a team of people that whenever you think about parenting, you think about Professional Aunty, they support us. If you want to have a child, I want Professional Aunty to be my support. That's exactly what I think about being a household name, a name with reputation of great things. I really see that being something that a vision for myself and my company, really.
That's great to hear. And what do you do to unwind and relax? How do you treat yourself?
I always love, in terms of, it sounds funny, but I like jogging. That always de-stresses me first. But my unwinding time is always like watching a chilling movie and good food. I'm a dessert lover, so anything cake. Bring it my way.
Cake anytime.
Anytime.
So where can people connect with you if they wanted to find out more about what you do?
Okay, I'm very approachable on Instagram. You can slide into my direct messages. You can send me an email. You can connect with me on Instagram. I post there quite a lot. That's where I was hoping would be a best place. With Twitter, not yet. Maybe this year I'll get better at it. I'll definitely get better. You can always email me.
Okay.
And you can give me a call as well.
I'll put the contact details at the end of the show notes.
But you can follow me at Professional Aunty on Instagram as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kemi. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I really appreciate your time and appreciate you, coming to speak to us. And take care of yourself.
Okay, you too, Free. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, rate it, and review it on iTunes, as this can help others find it. If you'd like updates on the podcast, you can follow the pages on Instagram or Facebook by searching for Well Restorer. If you have any questions or would like to give some feedback, you can send an email to info@wellrestorer.co.uk. Thanks once again. Take care.